Hello again. This is Pastor Jeremy, and I'm here with Kathryn Cleveland. And in an earlier video, Kathryn shared stories about generosity in her personal life and through her father, and opportunities that she's had to share the joys of being generous. So if you didn't see that video, go ahead and check that out. This conversation is going to focus a bit more on how Kathryn and I see generosity in our congregation, which is Community Lutheran Church here in Hill City, South Dakota. So again, the goal is to give people an opportunity to share their stories of generosity, but this specifically about how we see it in our congregation. So I'll start there, Kathryn. Who are the people who model generosity at Community Lutheran Church?
Yeah, that was a fun thing to think about. And some people really pop to mind quickly. I think of Sue Anderson and Sheila Green and all the women of the Welcome, but especially those two seem to be give a lot of time and energy to programs that we support, like Sue taking care of so many of the volunteers for the Cornerstone and other projects. And I love that. I think it's a reflection of generosity that Sheila came up with the idea of creating the bouquets last year and bringing in. And remember how much fun we had taking those around and giving them to businesses, which is really, it was just an act of generosity.
Mm-hmm.
And people wanted to know why, do we need something? And it was fun just to say, no, we just want to say that we support you. And so I think generosity looks different. We think of monetary gifts, but I think the gift of time and talent, and Sheila being generous with her flowers and funding other people with flowers to make how many bouquets did we make?
Oh,
Remember?
It must have been around 30, 40 bouquets that we delivered to different businesses.
Exactly. Yes, and she went out and found all the bouquets or the vases.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, to me, was a very generous gift to the community through our church. She got other people involved. And honestly, if she does it again, it's so much fun to go do because people just were touched. It was fun. And then, of course, Carl and Terry, especially that I know, were very involved in the basement, the rehab and the staircase. And those, there again, time and talent. And I'm sure it cost them personally. I mean, it costs us all when we drive to the church. It takes gas and but they were very faithful to come in there. And after everyone, there's a rush when there was the flood and things were taken care of, but then there's the long slog of generously giving your time over and over again to see that to completion. And so that to me is generous. And the other one that I thought of was the Wellows and their generosity through, they belong to our church, and but the generosity of involving the community in getting the ranger track redone. That was a huge project.
Right.
I mean, for a small town to put, I don't know, it was over $100,000 to do that track. And it wasn't just their personal financial generosity, but I think they spearheaded so that everyone wanted to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of generosity in a church, is that it encourages other people to be generous, to be involved in projects that reflect our generosity, whether it's time or talent or money. And
Yeah. You've mentioned numerous people who have created the atmosphere or created the environment in which other people can be generous. And that really is a gift, to be able to see and then to put in the pre-work to give people the opportunity to see and experience the joy of abundant generosity within themselves. So thank you for mentioning them. I think that's a great opportunity. You know, Sheila with the flowers. I think
Yeah,
it's going to happen again sometime soon.
I hope so.
Whenever we get to be, you know, delivering things to people.
Exactly. 5 feet away.
We're going to
And
leave this.
Sue with,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
yeah, we'll leave and run. Sue with the Cornerstone. If you haven't gone down and shared your time in serving meals at the Cornerstone, I would encourage everybody to do it.
Mm,
It's it's a small act of generosity. We have to give our time, and most of us though have to go to Rapid City at least once a week, and to go and just serve food for half an hour, 45 minutes tops, is really, I mean, I really appreciate her kind of spearheading and making sure that there's enough volunteers to do that, because it is um, it's a real blessing to the people that get the food,
mhm,
and it's such a reminder of there but for the grace of God
mm,
is, there's our needs in the community, and to be able to participate in that way. And so I, like you said, I think acts of generosity beget acts of generosity.
mm,
And the other one I don't want to forget is Jeff, who I think his generosity is in hospitality,
mhm.
and that his generous spirit of let's get together and this must just be making him crazy, because he wants us always to be together. I saw he got to go to church on Sunday. That wasn't fair. But so that leads, well, I'll do some more with that with the last question.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah,
let's ask that next question. How does
right.
Community Lutheran Church teach others to be generous?
And that's where I think Jeff and his um, generous hospitality spirit has really spearheaded making more of our outdoor spaces,
Mm,
um, gathering around the campfire. And then the Young Life kids use that space. We are generous with our land for the various gardens.
mhm,
When the council met, we talked about how can we share those spaces in a more intentional way with the community and people coming off the Mickelson, because God has positioned us right there at the Mickelson. Maybe we should be using that. And so I think the question was, read the question again, because I remember thinking it was worded interestingly.
yeah. How does
How
our
did,
congregation teach others to be generous?
right. And I think um, teaching oftentimes sounds like you're standing up there teaching us something, but the church as a body has a real opportunity. I think we're kind of focusing on the idea that we can share our space. The
Mm,
Boy Scouts can meet downstairs. There's an exercise class that can meet. It's not our building that we have to protect and take care of and make sure nobody breaks anything. It's really open to the community, and I think generosity is the reflection of an open spirit, a spirit that is open to what God gives, and then open to His calling to pass it on.
yeah.
So yeah, I think we are teachers in the way that we show a generous spirit to the community and to people that come in. Um, I'm not sure exactly
Mhm.
how that works with visitors. What do you think?
Yeah, I certainly think an openness, you know, sort of like holding one's hands like this.
Yes, yes.
I think we do a really good job of like receiving people this way. You know, if
Mhm.
in normal times, if I held my hands out to you like this, you'd probably grab them, right? And we do that. And I feel like when people come to visit our congregation, that they feel like our hands are open to them, and they can
Mhm.
join us, which is really
Yes,
a gift. And we teach that without saying it. But I appreciate that
yes.
you bring it up because it's worth saying.
Right. It is worth saying. I would love to have more um, moments where we could just stand up and share a generous thing that happened, in our lives, or post, you know, little, if you don't want to speak, you can send a message on the Facebook page. I think right now when we're afraid and we're kind of tucking into ourselves and we're kind of bringing us and ourselves kind of inside to make sure that we're safe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Christian body has this huge opportunity to be open and vulnerable and generous with our words. If we can't be with our, you know, hugs, we can be generous with our words of encouragement and uplifting one another so that people know that we're not just, you know, hunkered down in our bunkers waiting for the end, but that we are reading good books or, you know, putting together puzzles or burning puzzles in the fireplace, if anybody's watched my Facebook. I'm generous with burning things too. So.
Well, you have been generous with us today, sharing stories about your generous father, talking about the people in our congregation who model generosity, and just giving this time to share your story. So I really appreciate it, Kathryn. Thank you, and we'll keep speaking about generosity in our congregation together.
Sounds great.
All right.
Thank
God bless you, and we'll look forward to getting together soon.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Oh.